I sped up the time. I looked at the options for the future to assess all the likely outcomes of the conflict, and saw a lot. 14,625,000. How many winners?
One.
I mean, like this, right? Is this the only winning option? Thanks to a fellow Mickey Mouse that ran in the right place. Otherwise, we would not have known how the worn-out superheroes of the universe would slap Thanos. The mouse definitely deserves a punch. And now a review of the final. Let's start the game. As everyone probably remembers, after the click of Thanos, the survivor was normally so sick of what was happening, but not the best legalas of the galaxy, so the finale corrects this oversight from the first seconds. It gives Barton the opportunity to feel what balance is in the universe. And it's strange, everyone was sprayed into dust slowly enough, they even had time to say something goodbye. Mr. Stark, if you come home, erase my browser history. But so that Hawkeye did not understand anything. His whole family scattered instantly. Guys, Laura, it hurts to watch.
It's fucked up.
And judging by the fact that 4 people disappeared next to Barton, Thanos destroyed not 50% of the Earthlings, but all 90. Well, or the miracles of randomness took their toll on the Americans to a greater extent, although someone next to Hawkeye should have survived. Meanwhile, the surviving couple from Titan on Quill's half-dead ship are having an adult time. Did you like it?
I liked it.
However, in addition to the fun moments, there is one problem. We're stuck with an empty tank thousands of light years from the nearest gas station.
That's bullshit.
What was Quill thinking about when he went to Titan in search of Gamora with empty tanks? Well, Bon Gamora saved from the clutches of Thanos, and how was he going to get out of a lifeless planet without fuel? And suddenly I would have to leave the pursuit of Thanos' ships, but there is no fuel. Not only did this lover of green girls screw up a well-thought-out hop-stop, but he also wanders around the galaxy with an empty canister. Tony reports that when they tried to take down Thanos on Titan, the fuel cells were distributed. We reversed the engines for an ion charge and 148 hours of flight time. Well, if the fuel cells were damaged, it made sense for him to leave the planet, where he could breathe freely. Who robs a bank when a car has a flat tire? Moreover, after Strange gave Thanos the Time Stone, why the hell didn't he transfer everyone to Earth through the portal? If there was no point in hanging around on Titan anymore, why was it necessary to sit and wait for spraying, so that then Stark wandered through space like this? And just as Tony is about to throw off his fins from lack of oxygen, and his own short-sightedness, suddenly, damn, I don't see anything. Hey man, you turn off the high beam. Captain Pretentious Woman finds that not because she can. The one with whom there was no connection, and the remnants of the Avengers, had no idea where he was at all. And apparently with his burning fart, Schmarvel is also able to generate oxygen for Stark. She dragged the ship on her hump to our solar system, and during all this time, Stark did not bulge. Stark, fueled by Selene, and under the yoke of a broken spirit, begins to roll cylinders on Steve. What's the deal? Where the fuck are you going? Get the fuck out of my house. The situation is terrible. Where is the violet with the glove? No one knows. Nom walls detect the energy release of Infinity Stones.
Thanos is there.
That's why I don't work with my relatives. At a quick briefing, a decision is made to try to fuck Purple again. How can we know that this time it will end differently?
This time you have me.
Fucking conceit. I'm sorry for the question. Where have you been all this time?
You are the universe, except the Earth is full of planets, and you, alas, are not found there.
What is it? Well, she always says that. Indeed, at first they made her a fight, and then they could not figure out how to fit her into the plot with such abilities. As a result, the flying log floods, which fights evil where there are no analogs of the Avengers. As a result of which it has fucked up the most important battle of the universe. The thing is in the hat. The farmer's location has been established. It's time to hit the road. Let's punish this bastard. Well, who says that when the Purple Titan fucked you like no one had before? How long have I lived? I never thought that such a thing would happen. Fanaticism. I'll get there. This motherfucker, fuck. Well, this time everything is easy and simple. Sour cream from All Alone, all burnt and barely alive, collects vegetables, cooks himself a borscht. Someone's going to get hurt right now. The Earthlings break in without even letting Grandpa finish the soup, but the Nazis did not act like these mummers. And then, they pay for their treachery with the terrible truth.
Where are the stones now?
Destroyed it. Then why is the universe okay? The Ancient One warned Benner about this.
Without any protection against the forces of darkness, our world will be enslaved.
And since the stones are the foundation of the universe, and they were destroyed by Thanos, why is the universe not torn to pieces by a dark entity? Is she swollen and asleep? In short, Thor, Pejavavshis from meaningless chatter, burnt bruises. And what to pull? His neighbors need to roll his mother, this goat. We lost so much time for him. Pauline. And again, about Titan's crazy plan, did he seriously think that having just once would give the desired effect? Taking into account the birth rate, the number of different times will return to normal again after some 50 or 100 years, which is nothing for the universe, but it will not work again. The stones have already been destroyed. Another incomprehensible moment. Thanos commanded the Chitauri army, which in the year 2012 provided Loki with a scepter containing a mind stone, so that he could get a tesseract for them. In return, the Chitauri allowed Loki to conquer the land with the help of his army. Well, that's what a moron yam ridiculous plan. First of all, how can I believe that Thanos, having a scepter in which the Infinity Stone is in his hands, would give it into the hands of an Ascarian sucker? Secondly, what prevented Thanos himself from either sending the shriveled Uruk's adopted son to teleport to Earth and take the terrorist attack from him and also disappear without a trace, than to resort to Loki's services? As a result, Thanos did not receive these Sirik. He also fucked up the scepter with the Stone of Reason. Well, anyway, the Mad Titan drove off to the morgue. 5 years fly by, and Steve, as the leader of the Avengers, has nothing better to do than hang out in clubs for the morally depressed. Although there should be such a total asterisk going on Earth in every sphere that Steve and the remaining Avengers should have an ass not like in soap, but burning like gasoline. And he gathers with leftist people on a chatterbox. Well, and here is the mouse the scientist returns Scott from the quantum world. Because the installation for studying quantum space is launched and configured with one button that even a mouse will figure it out. Thanks to Hank Pym, the old devil deserved a point. And initially, the Wasp sent Scott to the quantum world with the help of a completely different switch. And then it's enough to supply power to the tunnel and order. And if it was enough to turn on the tunnel to return from the quantum world, why didn't the cattle return immediately when Pym and Janet stopped communicating? That's it, the joke has dragged on, pull it out already. After all, the tunnel continued to work. Scott observes unhealthy stuff on the streets, and instead of flying home first and checking on relatives, he stumbled to the memorial of the disappeared, where someone pinned and put the dead not in alphabetical order. Well, so that it would be as difficult as possible for relatives to search for missing relatives. Well, it finally came to me that I had to run to my daughter. How big you are? Well, I don't know. As for me, the first words should be something like this. What the fuck is going on? In the meantime, on the basis of the walls, Johansson conducts a meaningless, useless briefing, where a bunch of heroes allegedly solve problems all over the galaxy, and the Rocket also personally checks lonely Cosmo longboats. Boarded a suspicious warship.
He turned out to be a garbage lady.
Yes, at this rate, horseradish will not help anyone. And every civilization, in principle, can help itself. That's what one raccoon can do in the context of an entire planet. And then they decide to cover up the absence of the most powerful character until the end of the film with this.
Should I expect you next month? Unlikely. I have a huge territory on me. What is happening on Earth is happening everywhere.
So what if this is happening all over the universe? What can you do to help, other than charge the phones with an inhabitant of the universe? I repeat, with the destruction of half of the population, civilizations are quite able to help themselves on their own. A contribution from one woman who knows how to let photon charges out of her hands is so. Rhodey reports that mountains of bandit corpses have been found in Mexico. Barton's handwriting. And you love to breed a Durban. And then, what does Barton's handwriting mean? Is he putting his name out of corpses? And now he works exclusively with a sword, does not use a bow and arrow. How can you understand that someone has chopped up the mafia?
Can you find out where he shows up?
Of course it can't. It's not about Bart being a super agent who knows how to be invisible.
Can you?
Yes. What?
What?
And in what way? Does Sparrow's Eye publish the exact address on Twitter before each attack? Natasha is in tears from the memories that have come flooding back, but Steve appears and calms the Slav with his standard rubbish. You see, the world is simple. The main thing in life is to eat sweetly well. That's it. Steve's philosophy is interrupted by Scott Lang. Well, Scott says that he spent 5 years in quantum. Hours. 5 hours for me. So, if a year in quantum equals 1 hour, how did it happen that for Hank Pym's wife, 30 years of quanti were equal to all the same 30 years? According to Scott, she should have spent 30 hours there and remained as young as in 1987.
Something I didn't understand.
And there's nothing to understand. Scott suggests using quantum technologies, going back in time and fixing everything. Is this about a time machine? We need someone who can do it. I'm worried. Come on, I'm here. It's a long way to fly to Shurik, but Stark is nearby. Damn, there are millions of people in the world who need help. And funds for rehabilitation, and these compassionate people drive around in electric cars at the cost of 80,000 euros. Money. There is. Stark continues to goat on the old yeast of malice, saying that nothing will work out, and the guys go to the one who is bigger. A big brain is needed here.
And the truth is, they say, that he can enlarge any organ of his body.
It is much more important that he is not sluggish. Banner's version 2.0 agrees to help develop a time machine, and Tony, that evening after washing dishes, takes and makes a fantastic breakthrough in the field of science in which he has never worked before, has not studied time travel, has not immersed himself in the quantum world, but he still took and used his good old cheater trick.
And when did you become an expert in nuclear astrophysics?
Yesterday. Oh, and Stark solves the problem of time travel based on the Mobius strip. Yes, its properties can be viewed from the point of view of space, but it has nothing to do with intertemporal jumps. Meanwhile, Banner doesn't do a damn thing. All he does is run time through the cattle, making him either old or young. In addition, testing time jumps is put pretty much cut down. You walk there for an hour, and we'll get you back in 10 seconds. About an hour. Isn't that a bit much for an unrolled technology? They would take an example from Doc Emmett Brown, who, at the first test, sent the dog just 1 minute into the past. By lunchtime, Stark is already announced from the working version of the temporary navigator, and if he solved the problem that evening, and knew what to do, plus discussed with Pepper that he would participate in it, why didn't he call that same evening? Didn't warn his people not to start experiments without him, if this so life-threatening. Is he worse than that? The friends are measured, his toy returns to the Cap, the remaining heroes are called, the Hulk and the Rocket are sent to the Jam, with which an unfortunate incident happened. Careful, boy. No, simpler. Guys, what kind of guy did you lose? Yes, Thor, as he himself claimed, is 15 centuries old. You know, I've lived 1500 years. And then how can a hero who has lived for so many years experience such problems? How can a character who has been in so many battles, who has seen so many deaths, turn into a non-entity and fall apart? If he is allowed to drink a game console beer, Barton is still mowing down yakuts in Japan, where the skill of cold weapons surpasses firearms. And any self-respecting Japanese mobster has a samurai saber with him, so that, on occasion, on the streets of a modern civilized city, he can clash with someone and fight to the death. And only the crow's eye finishes the Japanese evil, as it is announced. Natasha. Well, NATO chooses the right words to return a comrade in arms to the right stall.
Enough of my brains.
Gave, nah. And now, the team is assembled. Except, of course. And really, a fucking risky and complicated operation is being prepared here, so the safety net in the form of a Superman in a skirt did not fall on anyone. Or is it her usual place? Captain Marvel.
No, the connection.
You're getting carried away. Pull yourself together, Lebowski. It's an Easter egg. So Tony called Thor the name of the dude played by Jeff Bridges, who played Tony Stark's first opponent in the first Iron Man. It's an Easter egg, an Easter egg. Easter egg. It's an Easter egg. Well, we come to the sweetest thing, the updated theory of time travel. Changing the past won't change the future. You jumped into the past. This past turns into the future. And your past present turns into the past. And there is no way to change it. That is, no matter how much you change the past, it will not affect your current future in any way, since jumping into the past creates a separate time stream, and do anything in it, and take everything you need from there. Well done, Tricky. A kind of law immediately closed most of the plot holes associated with time travel. So Back to the Future is bullshit. Fuck him. And thanks to this law, the first logical hole, the Avengers, like a cat, have enough particles to move around for a couple of tests, and only for one jump into the past and return. Pym particles are unique. Since Hank Pym ordered to live for a long time, there's nowhere else to take them. If the change in the past does not affect the present, what prevents Scott from returning to Pym's bunker at 2015, when he charges the suit with particles and takes them from him? Repeat an infinite number of times is equal to an infinite number of Pym particles, equal to 1 trillion attempts to collect each stone, at least the whole crowd at once. So, 3 stones on Earth, and 1 each in Asgard, in Armir and Maragi. The Avengers are divided into teams to cover all the stones. 6 stones, 3 teams, 1 chance. Yeah, and this Avengers plan. After all, everything is much simpler. All you have to do is move to the 2018th Wakanda, at the moment when everyone's favorite Thor messes up and misses the Titan's head. That. Come on. Yes, a setup. What the hell is this? And that's it. There is a glove with stones. We resurrect the snapped ones, return the glove to 2018th Wakanda, profit. No running around the 4 planets. This is a normal plan. We have 3 teams, each with its own goal. 1 dive, without the right to make a mistake. You just talked about it at the briefing. Steve thinks along the way that he has only jerks in his team.
Will just be a minute.
Such experiments should be done with the permission of only the relevant authorities. Let's start with the team that found itself in the 2012 year in the midst of a battle with the Chitauri. We see the general formation of the Avengers, after which the Avengers from the future immediately stay, and stumble upon the Hulk on the move, although according to the events of the 12th year after the cap was built. He gave orders for another minute, after which the Hulk jumped to the high-rise and began to bend the Chitauri. Here, the Hulk, first of all, is already on the ground, and secondly, he still has to stand next to Cap and listen to someone give instructions. The task is to do everything quietly and keep a low profile, as Cap himself said, but immediately allows Boner to suffer a little garbage, where old Avengers can easily draw him, or even worse. The air squad of the Tory will notice, and then you can get bogged down in an unnecessary battle, another one who doesn't give a fuck. No, in order to call on his fellow sorcerers, and specifically help the Avengers stop the alien invasion, thereby preventing the death of the civilian population, it is worth only protecting his hut. I'm looking for Doctor Strange.
Take a look. So in 5 years.
It is convenient to have a pebble of time and know everything in advance. Then if she knows about everything, why did she kick Strange out and didn't want to teach him out? Or was it like a test of fortitude and determination? Okay, let's say. But how could she allow the theft of a spell capable of summoning Dormammu? If she knows everything, why didn't she stop Cassilia? How did she allow such a dangerous oppositionist to grow up before her eyes? You're a hypocrite. And how could she allow her own death? Moreover, if she knows everything for Strange, then why, after she refused to give the Time Stone? Banner's words that Strange gave the stone to Thanos came as a surprise to her. Strange gave it to Thanos himself.
Of your own free will.
So she must have known that too. And that means knowing about Thanos' crusade. But she didn't do a damn thing. The Guardian of the Earth is called. Stupid woman. And another violation of their own laws. You can communicate with the astral body only if you are in Australia. The Ancient One knocked Boner into the astral, but she never entered it herself. Stark, meanwhile, watches as the team from the 2012 year knit Loki. And in such an important operation, where there is no room for error and maximum concentration, vigilance is required. Guests from the future do not miss the chance to shit the radio with a joke about Roger's ass. Nice ass, Cap. And in general, if anything, it's America's ass. Look at you. Your kids.
Kick-ass.
Immediately after the battle with the aliens, the guys from the strike appear behind Loki's scepter. And before giving away a powerful artifact, one could ask where the super-trained mercenaries disappeared, while the Avengers alone saved New York from invasion. It seems like the war is over. So why the hell is Banner still walking the Hulk? What kind of figureheads didn't calm him down first of all, so that he wouldn't embarrass others with a green carcass once again? Stairs. I hate it. Well, jump off the building. Everything is destroyed anyway. One more hole in the asphalt. One less. What's the difference? Rogers intercepts the scepter in the elevator and, in order to pick it up without noise and dust, mows it down under his own. Hali Hydro. Here, of course, you can't say anything. Steve Obi fell beautifully. However, it is somehow strange that none of those present in the elevator noticed that 5 minutes ago, Steve was in a dirty uniform, with a battered shield, and now he is all shining with cleanliness. Another strange thing is that Ramlo behaves as if he knows Cap. Hey, Cap. Framed. Although they will intersect in the shield only in 2 years. According to the events of the Avengers 2012, Steve was generally locked up under the supervision of Fury and did not contact anyone from the account or the strike. Neutralizing Loki is his first operation and coming out. Do you want to bring me back to the world? I'm trying to save him. And it's a shitty time to steal the scepter when there are a lot of Avengers and Hydra agents around it. It would have been much easier to send one Cap to the 2016 when the Avengers recaptured the scepter from Strucker and began to study it in Stark Tower. And while the party was going on, the stick was generally unattended. Take it calmly. than an unconventional solution without risk and danger. Okay, let's go back to Stark, who was just outside and coordinated Steve's actions, and here's how the installation is. And he's already on the first floor in a Special Forces uniform. And somehow I don't understand how the shackled hands prevent Loki from scattering the commandos and trying to get away. And Thor should have kept his cunning, unpredictable brother personally under supervision, and not trusted it to a bunch of people. And is this serious? Did the Avengers of the future have such a plan? Distract attention with Stark's heart attack and rely on luck to steal a terrorist attack when there is a crowd of Special Forces around. And Thor is also nearby. What was it necessary to get stoned with in order to come up with such a thing and go for it? It would be much easier for Stark to wait for the moment when Natasha closes the portal, fly up, and pick up the Tesseract, firm Professor Selwick's device, and if necessary also work out Natasha's axe.
What? You're dead, you freak.
And that's it. Everyone is free, thank you all. And how could Stark go in the direction of the door firm where the Hulk jumps out? If he had to remember this moment from 2012, that an angry green Hulk would appear in the hall. The excuse that they say Tony could have forgotten in 11 years, this will not work. After all, when preparing the operation, every step of the ask had to be taken into account and worked out. And Stark simply could not help but remember about the Hulk. After Thanos asked Loki not to breathe anymore, fans have spawned a bunch of theories about how Loki can still come back to life. And now the god of deception is given such a chance by a spontaneously opening suitcase, which, apparently, the S.H.I.E.L.D. organization bought on sale in a street crossing. Come on, you assholes. Where's the case? Where's Loki? The ant tore an entire spare part from the reactor to provoke a heart attack in Stark, but a light lightning discharge is enough to replace the torn part. Apparently, someone said something similar to logic. Get out of there. And then, unnoticed, the kick-ass crept up to Steve. And I want to ask the one from the future. What are you, a freak, walking along the embankment with a girl, but you don't look at your feet? But here, more precisely on the sides. There is no quietness and short dashes, constantly looking around and ducking. This one walks around like at home, knowing full well that the building is packed with Avengers. Steve of the sample of 2012 looks pretty fresh and cheerful for a man who half an hour ago looked tired to death and fucked up. Another cheap suitcase opened, there saves the character, allowing Steve from the future to calm himself down with a dropped scepter. And how convenient that there is a paralysis function in the scepter by default, triggered by anyone who takes the magic stock in his hands. It doesn't matter. You're a fool, we can't get it back. And even the Pym particles are only for one jump. Therefore, Stark, after a scenario pendle, remembers in one fell swoop that both the particles and the blue cube are based on the account in the 70s. Oh, I'm cool. So, if you take a chance and it doesn't work out, you'll get stuck there. Yeah, don't push it. You can always go out to Pym, explain the situation, show the time navigator, tell him what he only knows. And Pym will give them particles, and the boys will return to their time. A time jump, and a dick. Already two left-hand people, having got clothes, are freely hanging out on a top-secret object. And now they are already descending into an underground bunker, where there is a level of access and identity documents. Moreover, the Tesseract itself, is a stone of excessive strength, guarded according to the principle. That's it, fuck it. Well, in the game. Don't say gop. Until he jumped over. Since Steve is still in the process, which, having come up with a rubbish about a glowing package for Dr. Pym on the go, hits the nail on the head, because Pym is just waiting for something glowing. It would be fun if Pym answered Steve's words. The box, sir. It glows, and... What? Yes, I don't expect any glowing shit. Figure it out for yourself.
The end.
But everything is successful. There are particles for the return, the stone of space, too. The old man finishes the conversation with his father, well, and back to the future. And in parallel, in Asgard, Thor, instead of doing business, decides to walk to the wine cellar. The wine cellar is literally under us. My father has saved a barrel of glorious Nyaz ale. It is clear that the god of thunder has degraded under beer for 5 years, but in order to turn into a moron so much, and not realize the importance of their mission, it's right absolutely necessary to become a hopeless drunk, in which a squirrel has settled forever. Yes, but back to our parades. Or rather, to the method of removing ether from Jane Foster. You talk her teeth out, I poke her in the bumper with this, extract the reality stone, and leave. Look at how simple it is this time. When he came to his senses, Thor had to take Jane to the dark elf Malekith to remove the ether from her body. Since even in Asgard, no one knew how to pull it off. And here Clovis and the Rocket has a convenient stray for sucking the ether. And this despite the fact that the Avengers had information about the ether only from the words of Thor, who, in principle, did not know how to extract it in Asgard, and still does not know. But the Rocket, using Stark's cheater trick. Yesterday, with the words about the broadcast, I know very little, but everyone is waiting for the final. He took and Isfaganiel, a device for interacting with a powerful substance, about which there is really no scientific or research data. And the place of withdrawal of the ether was not chosen the most successful Odin's palace, where there are a lot of guards. And Thor himself is constantly next to Jane. It would have been much easier to ambush her at the moment when she was just possessed by the ether, after which she lay in an abandoned warehouse and came to her senses. Here it is, the perfect option, without the risk of noise and dust. And it's much easier than stealth mode to do all this in Asgard. As a bonus, Thor, having lost the remnants of the brain, also takes the Miller, because if the mission is successful, the hammer will have to be returned to this time stream, which is also an extra hemorrhoid that could easily be avoided. By the way, there is also a terrorist attack in Asgard now, which was delivered there by Thor after the war in New York. It would be possible to grab it, but just to be safe. Given how risky the plan for the extraction of those terrorist attacks in 2012 in New York was chosen. There was also no rhodium. Two fairly strong characters remain on Mar Aga to wait for the arrival of Wolfor the Stone of Strength. And the two weakest and most useless go for the Soul Stone to Warmere, even having no idea what awaits them there. Where are you going, white idiots? Yes, it's a rather strange decision, because intercepting Quill is an easier task than a steamed turnip. With Nebula, it would be possible to leave Natasha and Barton, just in case, to strengthen the warrior. But for the good of the plot, two Avengers who have warm feelings for each other accidentally ended up in the army. Natasha, Ivan's daughter. Clint, Edith's son. Extremely convenient for the fate of half the universe, because the only way to get the Soul Stone is to kill the person you love. And Natasha doesn't like Clint. This is love, Agent Romanov.
Children play at love, and I owe him.
Why the fuck is the wedge being reset? And after that, the circus begins at all. Who will be the first to injure someone, and the first to get off the cliff?
What are you doing?
In addition, there is a small catch. The skull clearly made it clear to Thanos that the being who wants to get the Soul Stone must make the greatest sacrifice. To get it, you need to lose what you love. For Thanos, she was tired of his beloved daughter Gamora. Now it's just a suicide coming out. From the very personal death of Natasha, Barton does not make any sacrifice, but he is still gifted with a stone. But again, by chance, they both jump off the cliff, and Barton, as if reluctantly, lets Natasha go, which formally can be considered that he sacrificed Natasha, and the conditions seem to be met with a stretch. That's what I call a daily performance. Well, so that the collection of stones did not go as smoothly as the Avengers imagined it. Houston, we have a problem. Nebula from the 2014th had a conflict of the same IP address with none from the 23rd. Well, not with a finger, Thanos starts sensing the Google account was not there. As a result of which he learns about the plans of the Avengers. Lucky Purple, what do you say? It was lucky that the sky was equipped with a useless function to send signals to its head, millions of light years away from itself. The Power Stone is in my pocket, as on Nebula. It is at the moment of Rhodey's departure that a synchronization failure hits. That's not earlier and not later. And then, the adopted daughter of Thanos commits an act of Morinism, if not superior to Will's act on Titan, then certainly equal to him. After she failed to warn Barton and Natasha that Thanos was aware of everything, what prevented her from returning to her time? While she was able to move, while her ship was picking up the Thanos cruiser, while they were making their way inside to her. No, thanks to that. There are no words for the fucked up act of her being taken prisoner. Why, she didn't even move to hide the time navigator. Moreover, he also pulls in front of Homora with the disclosure of the truth about her death.
Thanos will find the Soul Stone. Do you want me to tell you exactly how?
But this is 100% achievement. The evil Nebula removes a birthmark from a good one, gives away Daddy's particles. Dad, look what I found. And under the guise of a good bruise, he returns to the 23rd year. The whole team arranges a kind of Romanova wake, and, apparently out of grief at the loss of a valuable employee, Tony somewhere off screen on his knee just took and assembled a glove capable of containing the power of the 6 Infinity Stones. While Thanos had to fly after her as a dwarf, and make it with the help of the energy of a star. Is the technology of an Earthling so superior to the millennial technology of Nettler? In short, Tony deserved it. Okay, the glove is ready. The question is, which one of us will snap his fingers? Click it. Well, try it, well.
It won't work.
Thor really wants to try out the glove, but the drunk is asked not to get in the way, and Banner offers his candidacy. The radiation is mainly gamma. Everything seems to be logical, except to lock yourself in a building when a click is accompanied by a giant release of energy. And armored sheets will only increase the power of the release in a confined space. The Avengers, apparently, decided to commit suicide, although in their sanity. They should have just clicked in an open space somewhere in the field. Immediately after the click, Barton gets a call from his wife, a phone number that works fine 5 years later. Also, Barton, of course, traveled around the world like a bloodthirsty killer, carrying a home SIM card with him. And if he always had a phone with him, why was this Natasha looking for him all over Japan? You could have just called, they say, Wedge, blow to the base, there is a chance to return your family. family. And he would have flown like a cute one. It's all lyrics. The mainstream of misunderstandings pours out with the arrival of the cruiser Thanos from the past. The good one did not have, there was only one particle of Pym to return, which, accordingly, the evil one did not use, to move to the 23rd year. And that's how she managed to smuggle a cruiser from the entire army since 2014. If she needed at least 3 more particles of Pym, one to reduce the cruiser, the second to transfer in time, and the third to increase. Plus, Nebula had only one time navigator, that is, Thanos' cruiser turns this whole plot twist. Only at the request of the screenwriters to arrange the final epic. It would be much more logical if there were not 2 particles of Pym. With one, she reduces Thanos' cruiser, takes it with her in her pocket, returns to the 23rd year, and increases the cruiser. And Valia, Thanos' entire army is here. The same trick was pulled by Barton when Rocket gave him a scaled-down Quill ship, and Clint easily enlarged it on Maraga, and flew with Natasha to Vormir. Okay, the cruiser is here, but the Avengers' central base doesn't have any lousy air defense anywhere near it. And why, when it is already known that the Earth is constantly visited by not quite friendly guests from outer space? It is better to die from any attack from the air. Well, here's a surprise from Purple. Well, it's clear that, bitch, he frees up a place for himself to build a palace here. I don't know what kind of stuffing Thanos' missiles have, but it's clearly necessary to rearm. They didn't manage to fill up even one Stein. Breaking old crutches. Yes, half of the men had to be boiled, they're only from the unbearably high temperature. Also, the debris, so as not to break anyone's bones, crushed some as gently as possible. And how was Thanos not afraid that the glove itself might be destroyed from his actions? Or that it would have to be searched for a week under these rubble? And the heroes are farted further. So the glove is lying right next to Clint, and Thanos, having tens of thousands of 8-legged animals at his disposal, sends no more than 4 pairs in search of the glove, otherwise, God forbid, Barton will be crushed by the crowd. Yes, it is not clear what prevented Thanos from sending the Sorcerer's Son, so that he would come to his senses, and cleaned up all of them there. So we are in the future. Praise. Oh, there wasn't. First of all, she saw that Thanos wouldn't do it. Why did she have to please him again? Secondly, there was no. Already at that time, she hated Thanos and was going to kill him.
Are you going to kill my father?
Do you have something against it?
Look what he's turned me into. Kill him.
So why the hell did she listen to him implicitly and brought him into the future? There was no trace of her hatred left. Even if she was afraid of his anger, being already on Earth, she could just throw her foster dad and leave him in the past.
They didn't guess.
Arrogance is blind. Oh, Epta, you yourself. He got out alone into someone else's territory, even having no idea how many Avengers are going to come out against him now. Well, as soon as the owner leaves the cruiser, a mess begins on board. Gamora freely frees the good Nebula, because the rest of Thanos' kids don't give a damn about everything that happens on the ship. That's why I don't work with my relatives. And now the sisters, at the click of a finger, finds the evil one somewhere under the rubble. They also save Barton in time. Well, when the character has worked out his business in the plot, he is cut out with one shot. Although I remember, Drax smacked her with a grenade launcher, and at least she had henna, so only deformed her limbs for a minute. 3 heroes rush to attack, while Stark is from the air, and none of them normally confused violets. What is it? And what the fuck is going on? Since when has Thanos metamorphosed without a glove, but with some kind of helicopter blade? He has become many times stronger than Thanos with 6 stones. Even with the glove assembled, he couldn't stop the Thunder Axe strike. But Thor's drunken lifestyle can't affect the power of the axe itself. Plus, there is also a Mjolnir, which Thanos cannot lift without a glove. While in the Infinity War, Wanda finished Vision. The Titan with 5 stones was restrained for some time by one Rogers. And here the 3 strongest heroes on Sirius, Shaw, cannot provide an ordinary Thanos. And it's definitely a point, as if the protocol of a family holiday would be useful now. It is strange that after the destruction of half of the population, Stark did not resume this program. Anyway, at least some protection for the planet. So, and with what fright will Tana be able to hold a Thunder Axe? Is he worthy? I don't give a fuck. Well, the time has come. Everyone should wear underpants a size smaller to somehow hide the boner. Many people did not understand how Steve uses lightning, if he is not the god of thunder. But here it is necessary to recall the words of Odin when he spoke the hammer. Whoever takes this hammer, if worthy, will have the power of Thor. A unique artifact at the beginning, then skewed by lightning, and Thanos keeps saying, I don't give a shit. Well, the 3 weakened Avengers from Mudahan, Thanos' army finally ran out of lunch, and the whole alien river crawls out. Get ready, we're about to be raped. Hope has dried up, as a superhero army is announced at the very last moment. Well, fuck it. Father. Well, did you see? I saw it. It's a pity they didn't show how in some 10 minutes Strange managed to gather such a fucking large army. I also managed to explain to everyone where, why, and why. I need everyone who still has it. And how did he pick up an ant girlfriend? Did he even know which roof she disappeared on? And how did Pepper find it, if he had been dead for the last 5 years, and had no idea where he and Tony lived? And judging by the fact that he himself comes from the planet where he died, he didn't run after anyone. Stupidly opened the portals where necessary, and everyone got to everything themselves. Oh, the Star-Lord is alive. In the end, it went crazy. Where do so many vacancies come from? They were mowed down so badly in the Infinity War. And where did Valkyrie pick up the winged horse? After the showdown with Hela, she left Asgard without Pegasus. Well, the remnants of the Avengers, who were sitting under the rubble, were waiting for the arrival of the army. Otherwise, well, fuck him earlier to get out. If he can't do a damn thing with curtains, then they'll fill us with even more money in one fell swoop. Rocket, deal the cards. We'll be waiting for the brothers from Wakanda. By the way, here's a mega blunder for you. Thanos gouged the shield to Steve Rogers, so that only one stub remained of him. But for a moment, Cap's shield became completely intact on the general construction. Yo-hoo, the final batch has gone. War, genocide. And since the movie series is only gaining momentum, only extras die in the meat grinder, where ultra-modern weapons are used. All the main characters have a talisman in the form of contracts for sequels. Someone even find time for fakes, when every second counts here. And why don't the flying Avengers take down the purple ringleader first? The same Thor flies, whatever the hell Thanos does from the air, does some little things. Clint was with a glove in the rear under the ruins, but who would have known what impulse in his head pulled him to rush to the front line? At the same time, the Avengers for some reason had to return the stones to the past right now. We have to get them back to their places. No longer an option, Thanos graphed quantum tunnel. We have 2 time machines. What's the rush? Why did it have to be done right now? Let someone flying take away the glove under Magadan, calmly finish Thanos' army, and then return the stones to the past. Even until you are blue in the face. But no, they staged a senseless, eerily risky relay race across the entire front line. And this is when there is just a mess of their own and enemy troops. Plus, apparently they forgot that in the ranks of Thanos, there is a rather powerful sorcerer, Ebonimo. Well, at the very least, give you the glove to your sorcerers. Let them teleport it to the other side of the world. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Witch, endowed with the power of the Infinity Stone. What will Thanos say to this? I don't give a shit. And immediately, Wanda's warm embrace forces Thanos to do what he basically had to do. When the entire army of Earth lined up in even rows. Fire. And that's it. The Earth is full of stars for us. Everyone is pressed by fire. And here a logical question arises. Where? Where is she? Yes, where Captain Apollo is cooling off with a brick, and, concurrently, one of the most powerful heroes. If Stirs foresaw all this, why didn't he pull her into battle first? And that's when hope seemed to have run out. We have a power surge, Sasha. Danvers finally shows up, which found a place only in the role of the Eagles from The Lord of the Rings, temporarily show up at the end and save everyone. I don't want to be temporary forever. I want a full-time job. Well-deserved points. A ship the size of a couple of city blocks crashed, and there is no side effect from its fall as a fact. So that none of the audience missed Robert Downey's emotional game, Tony Stark decided not to protect his head with armor. At the last minute of the most dangerous fight, Thor is once again taking people off with a cap. The whole Baba squad knows where it disappears when the irreparable is about to happen. And only the captain's wife is given a chance to do something worthy. But it doesn't work out a damn thing. And how will it turn out if the main ability of Danvers is just to plug plot holes? Find Stark in the depths of space. I dot to fuck up Thanos' fleet. I get a stone of strength on the kidneys. Me. It was fucking awesome. Finally, Thanos' efforts are rewarded. The glove is on him. But suddenly, Tony turns on the gypsy mode on his suit, and while Purple snaps his snout around, Stark manages to rob all 6 pebbles, for which the billionaire gets another achievement. I am the very inevitability. It didn't work out. And so Tony's hasty decision ends the war and leads the Earthlings to victory over the Mad Titan. Remember me. Iron Man. Now he'll know who to fall for. It only made sense to click if Tony was able to tear apart Thanos and his entire army with the help of a glove. The defenders of Earth didn't just dominate, they were head and shoulders above the attackers. All it took to win was to keep the gauntlet away from Thanos. But even if Robert Downey's contract with Disney ends, and Mickey Mouse is not going to pay 70 lambs to the greedy actor, so Doctor Strange can't guess with the help of the Time Stone to bring Tony back to life, just like Tana and the Hut did it. Why all these lamentations of Starka and Natasha if the Avengers climbed headlong into time travel, according to their own logic? It was possible to go back to the recent past and grab a living Tony and Natasha from there. By the way, all the dispersed people returned, and in an instant, there were several billion more people on Earth. Billions of workers with nothing to occupy, billions of mouths with nothing to feed. How did the countries cope with such an increase in population? No way, there's Peter already at his native school, as if nothing had happened. And why is Cap returning the stones alone? You never know what will go wrong, but no one in their right mind would have let him go without a safety net. And how did Cap return the stones to their original carriers? For example, the stone of space turns into a tesseract, and the stone of reason into a scepter. And straight with a sickle in one place that we were not shown how Steve returned the soul stone. It means that such a Steve arrives on Vormir, and there. Hi there. Greetings, Steve, son of a bitch. Are you still alive, you star-spangled bitch? And one more important question. Cap goes back in time and stays there with Peggy, lives a happy life, gets old, waits for 2023 year, comes here to the Avengers and sits on the bench. If each time jump creates a new alternate universe, why did Steve stay in this universe and not get into an alternate one? He shouldn't be here right now? Okay, good news for Bucky Barnes. Bucky, you're a super soldier, Steve's best friend. Now you will be given the authority of Captain America. Try it on. That's for sure. What the hell? What the fuck? Steve went crazy from old age, no other way. How the fuck did the Falcon deserve such a status? He gives the shield not to a friend, for whom he fell on his own, and became illegal, not to a friend who is many times stronger, but to an ordinary person who would be simple without his cardboard wings. A Muflon, who hoped to have time to reproduce so that another Muflo would remember him after his death. Well, there was Captain America. Now there will be Captain Afro-America. The viewer can only answer one thing to such an outburst of Steve. He ducked us. Professionally fucked. Steve's decision can only be explained by the fact that he has done something similar in the past. Fuck you. That's very nice. Actually, chew the shit. How is he like that? Chew the shit. Chew the shit. Chew the shit. Erase that smirk. Definitely chew shit. And the most important thing in all this epic farce is that the finale did not explain why Strange could not finish everything back on Titan in 2018. Just teleport Quill away from Thanos and calmly pull off the glove. Here it is, the most advantageous option. Everyone is alive. Well, except for Loki, Hamdeli and Gamora. Stephen Strange, one question for you. Are you awake or something?